we came to the USA Science and Engineering Festival. This is the second time I've had the chance to come. And basically we came out to do outreach to the children in the area because there are a lot of students who lack support or good resources for good foundational STEM programs. So activities such as this kind of spark an interest, and our hope is that they then go on to pursue a STEM career or a STEM education in the future. So the Midshipman Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math extracurricular activity is an umbrella organization that encompasses, I believe it's 18 sub-organizations, anything related to science, technology, engineering, and math. And the actual Midshipman STEM ECA itself hosts several outreach events where we go all across the country. I've had the opportunity to go to Detroit, San Diego, Tulsa, Dallas, you name a known area in need that's very underrepresented for STEM education, and we really try to reach that population. In addition, we also host several events at the Naval Academy, such as we have a Girls STEM Day, we host several Sea Perch events, and we try to just spark interest and get a foundational STEM knowledge to the youth, because a lot of students initially have interest and then that kind of wanes off as they get older, and so we're trying to get the roots started.
Good.
So personally, I think it's kind of twofold in how it's beneficial. It's beneficial to the students and that they see that near peers are interested in STEM education, and so it's not just something that they think of as, you know, stereotypical adult boring engineers. They see that STEM can be fun and that you can really apply a STEM education to any career that you want. So whether you're interested in, you know, being an artist, you could still apply a STEM area to that, or a musician. There's always a STEM connection that we try to find, and they're easy to find. It's just the students frequently don't know about it. So we're opening them up to the possibilities that STEM brings. Additionally, from the midshipman aspect, we get the benefit of having the interaction with the kids. We learn mentorship, public speaking skills, how to get people to interact that may not initially be all that interested, and how to just really make the most of your time and do something productive and accomplish a goal, which is critical for people who are going to become officers in the future. So twofold benefit.
Perfect. So activities you got the kids doing, and what seems to be the most popular?
So I think one of the reasons that we're one of the more popular ones is because we do a lot of hands-on activities, and we do have so many midshipmen here. So we're always bringing in the kids. We're like, hey, come play with us, because it's not let us show you this technology that you'll grasp 2% of out of, you know, how complex it is. It's let's basically do one step above arts and crafts and then show you how that's STEM related and how it applies to your future. So they're fun, they're interactive, they're applicable to kids of all ages. We can, you know, tone it down to do as young as 2 to 3, or we can make it advanced to where high school and early college students will still have fun and find it challenging. So we really try to bring in a lot of students, and I think our energy and spirit brings in more, and so then we tend to be a little bit more popular than the others who just have neat demonstration pieces, but not quite the enthusiasm.
So
this is the largest science festival in the United States, and we are one of the largest funders of science and in the federal government, and one of the largest employers of scientists and engineers in the United States. So this is an opportunity to make sure that the future is as solid as we are right now. DoD STEM is an opportunity to reach people where they are, to try to find the brightest minds, excite them about DoD science and engineering, and to let them understand there are a lot of ways that you can do science and engineering with the military.
Okay.
To leave the Air Force out, the Air Force Research Lab is also an amazing part of DoD STEM. For instance, this is something you might have heard about, directed energy. So think about your microwave, right? You can heat up a can of beans. This is actually a way to use microwaves to fly over a building and actually make the computer stop working inside the building. So if you think about wanting to stop someone from hacking you or from doing different kinds of cyber activities, the Air Force Research Lab has actually found a way to just fly over and make the computer stop. So you might think that video games and programming is just something you do for fun. But for us, we want those kids to grow up and know they can be a scientist and an engineer with the Department of Defense and do cool stuff like this.
All right, so tell me about the robot behind you.
So this is another aspect of DoD STEM, right? The idea that you can see like a robot, like that soldier of the future who's piloting a tank across an incredibly rocky terrain. Here, you have someone on the other side of the curtain who can see just like the robot does, and they're piloting it through a maze, a very complex set of obstacles to make sure you can get it exactly where you want it to be. So it may seem like a toy that you're sort of remote piloting, and that's great. We want you to think about it that way, but it's also the future of national security, and the Army Research Lab, again, is making that happen, right at the forefront of making sure that the warfighter of the future comes home safe. So what you see here is the Naval Research Laboratory really showing us what DoD STEM is. You might see a Millennium Falcon that was 3D printed, that can be piloted by anyone. What we see is the future of the Department of Defense. And so DoD STEM gives us the opportunity to go from a plastic Millennium Falcon to someone in the Air Force actually piloting an unmanned air vehicle maybe 1,000 miles away. So that's the future of DoD STEM, and the Naval Research Laboratory is a big part of making that happen.
All right, Major Bennett, so Bennett.
Okay. All right, and sir, start off by just telling me, what is the Air Force out here doing today? Just explain it to me as simply as possible.
All right, we're actually out here having a great time here in Washington, D.C. So I represent AFRL, so the Air Force Research Lab, and we're out here just showcasing some of the things that we do in the laboratory. We've got everything from hands-on with our Batman group, so they work with our special operators to find different ways to enable their success. And then we got our materials manufacturing, we've got space, we've got some airborne stuff also. So yeah, we're just out here having a good time showcasing that our stuff.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And don't worry about the there, sir. I'm pretty good at cutting things up.
That's good.
So I guess next, tell me, how do you think the kids are receiving all your stuff, and what seems to be the big hit of your little area so far?
Oh, the kids out here are great. So I'm finding that anything that they can put their hands on has been fun. So we've got puzzles that they're trying to solve, and they're competing against each other. They're over here building rockets. They're seeing what it's like to be a combat military member. We've got a thermal imaging camera over here, so they walk in front of there, they can see what their whole body looks like. So, you know, all sorts of things. Whatever they can put their hands on and visualize, that's what they're having a fun time with.
Cool. So I guess probably the most important question that we have is, why do you feel it's important to have these kids out here and be hands-on like you talked about and learning about this technology? What do you think is important about that?
That's a great question. I have found that kids, if they can touch it or see it or hear or have some other sensory input into it, that's what they're going to want them to become. If there's something that we can just touch them and say, this is the future, and if you can see that future, that's where you're going to want to be. And right now, I mean, the Air Force, all the military, we need people that can see the future. If they can visualize it, that's where they're going to want to go.
Perfect. That works for me, sir.
Sweet.
That last answer was awesome, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Took me a while to get there. Yep.
Yeah, and you know, with the magic of editing, because the whole time, like, I'm gonna have you probably on camera for all of 3 or 4 seconds, and then it'll cut to like video of the different activities over the top of you talking, so I can kind of cut out any.
Yeah, thank you.
So everything we do in the Department of Defense has at its core ensuring the technological superiority of our warfighter. It's based upon the hundreds of thousands of scientists and engineers in the department who support the things we do every day. And the young people here today represent the future of science and engineering in this country. The things we do here today to inspire those young people to think about science as a career, to keep them involved in science, keep them involved in engineering, to get them interested in careers in science, to inspire them about the fun and excitement of working in high tech. All those things I think contribute to the future of our nation, to our national security, and to the health and welfare of our nation as a whole. It's really at the core of what we do as a department to protect our country, and what we're doing here today, reaching out to young people, serves that mission in the long term as well.
Okay, and I heard you kind of, as we were, you've been here for a couple of days. Could you kind of give me maybe a good anecdote or something where, or one of your favorite booths, and just tell us a little story about how you think the kids had a great time there?
So I'm just amazed at the outreach going on with our DoD science engineers in uniform and civilian who are here today. Over at the Air Force booth, just watching those kids experimenting with rockets and firing them, lined up behind there, competing against each other. The excitement is amazing. Over here are folks from the Defense Threat Reduction Agency talking about how they work to prevent disease and how they work to protect the folks they're working with. The kids are lined up, they're engaged. The scientists and engineers are down on their knees talking to young people at their level. And maybe the most exciting booth over here is the Naval Academy. The midshipmen are doing a fantastic job. They've got kind of hands-on things that young kids as young as 4 or 5 are out there. They think they're doing crafts, but they're actually learning. And it's that kind of interaction, one-on-one, that I think inspires young people to think about science as something not in a textbook, but something that people actually live.